Barely 100 years after the beginning of the automobile civilization, experts warn that man has already burnt about half of the world oil reserve. It had taken nature millions of years to produce. At the beginning of the 1970s, the countries belonging to Opec, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, created 10 years before, realized that their oil could be a fearsome weapon against Western countries. OPEC represented about 50% of world production. This meant an incredible means of pressure on the majors, which had had hegemonic powers until then, and also on the industrialized countries, which depended more and more on their oil imports. Two men were to lead the struggle, which little by little was to undermine the majors' power. These men were Pérez Alfonso, Venezuela's energy minister, who was extremely well regarded by oil leaders of the Arab countries, and his Saudi counterpart, Abdullah Tariqi, a radical nationalist, the Americans called the Red Sheik.
Well, the oil companies, they were happy to withdraw from deciding the price of oil. They were as the buffer element between the producers and the consumers. And after the October War, and they felt that the heat is too much, they decided to withdraw.
This is how the price of oil, its owners, or even its destination could change several times during a single cargo crossing.
However, a high price of oil is very good for the oil companies. They make a real handsome profit.
In the Gulf countries, as in most OPEC countries, there was no room for democratization in the unbridled race to modernism, marked in the 1970s and 80s.
I talked with King Fahd just before I left in the last meeting that I had with him as ambassador. And I talked basically about the use of their wealth. When I said, look, you didn't put the oil under your ground, God did. And you didn't exploit it either, the Americans exploited it. And you have been given extraordinary wealth, and you have squandered this, I said. And I said, if you waste this money, your descendants are going to dig up your bones and burn them. Everybody in the world wants to find oil because they think how wonderful this will be, what a great blessing it will be for us, but oil is a curse.